Well, welcome to the KC Stars podcast, where we talk to people in the local Kansas City film community. And I have
Mhm.
with me Mikheal Sublett, who is a producer, writer, cinematographer, and photographer. And I'll
Mhm.
let you introduce yourself better than I just did.
Okay. Well, basically, it's pretty much the same thing. My name is Mikheal Sublett. I'm a photographer, cinematographer, scriptwriter, generally a jack of all trades with what I'm doing in the filmmaking world. Um, I started, should I start from, I'll start from the beginning if that's okay
Sure,
with you.
sure, absolutely.
So I'm a former first responder. I tell people that working in EMS on an ambulance was the best job I ever quit. It was phenomenal, but it does come with a cost. So working in EMS and seeing those types of scenes every day does take its toll. And I wound up with a pretty wicked case of post-traumatic stress, which turned my entire world on its ear. So I had no idea what I was going to do. I left EMS, started treatment for PTSD, and my therapist told me, you're a creative. You like to write, things of that nature. Why don't you grab a camera and see the beauty of the world again? And that's actually how I got started. I just started taking pictures and started posting my pictures online. And then I started getting invitations to things like back when Bernie Sanders had his presidential bid. I got invited to one of his rallies to photograph. And then next thing I know, I'm in the Granada Theater photographing live bands that are coming in. Things I never even thought about reaching out to do on my own, right? And my wife and I, who's my business partner, we were talking about making everything official. So we did. And that's where my company came from. And we noticed that there weren't a lot in the way of uh, documentary series talking about actual fringe groups in the communities that we happen to live in. So we started one, and the name of that show is Underground Uncovered. And we have one episode where it's talking about adult content creators. We have another episode that's featuring a left-hand path satanic group in the Kansas City area. We have another one that centers around an anime pop-up bar, which is super cool in and of itself. So what winds up happening is I get an email from a guy who's claiming to be an executive producer saying he saw one of my promos on Reddit, and I have no idea how it got there. Just kind of got shared. And he says, I'd like to meet with you and talk about it. So my first impulse is to say, this isn't real. So I just closed out the email. Then I get a phone call right after that. And he says, let's meet for lunch and let's talk about it. And I'm like, okay, So I go to lunch and I'm not really believing what's happening. I think this might be like one of those scenarios where we see it in our groups all the time. Up and comers are saying, hey, I want to do this. Let's work on this together, be mutually beneficial. And through lunch, while I'm talking to this guy, I actually pulled up his IMDb. Well, actually, I Googled him, and that's how I found his IMDb, and I realized he was for real. So the first thing that hit was that imposter syndrome right off the bat. And we talked about that, because he realized, so you looked me up? I said, I did. Now I'm a little nervous. And he was very encouraging. He said, looking at what you put up, he says, I can see your eye. He says, you've got a natural eye that can't be taught. I love your storytelling. You're a filmmaker. Because I used the term content creator with him, and he didn't like that. He said, don't refer to yourself as that. Refer to yourself as a filmmaker because that's what you are. And he took me in directions with this project I'm working on that I never dreamed of. He challenges me. He 100% made me a better filmmaker, and that opened up more opportunities. I wound up starting a paranormal investigation series because all of us, those of us who watch investigation series, we see the formula, right? It's the same thing. The investigators go in, hey, if there's a ghost in here, knock on something. Then they hear a knock and they're all freaked out. Like, what's this about? So I sarcastically put a Facebook post up that said, wouldn't it be great if there was a paranormal show that didn't have all the jump scares and we could just debunk stuff? And lo and behold, a friend of mine from high school who happens to be a scientist said, let's do it. And that's how the second series, Paranormal X, was born, which is a paranormal investigation series where we put a scientist with a psychic, and then we go in and we do investigations on camera and things of that nature without the formula. And then I said, my company had a new educational program, and they said, "Hey, anything you want to go to school for, we've got you covered." So I went to film school. And when I went to film school, this is what I discovered. I discovered that even though I knew a lot, there was a lot I didn't know. And there were several things I was making way, way too hard. So I finished up film school at the probably about the fall of 2025. And now I'm here talking to you. That's pretty
What
much
what
the
was
whole
the
story.
film school?
What's that, sir?
What was the name of the film school,
It
Michael?
was Wilmington University,
Wilmington.
Delaware. Yeah.
Now, your stuff that you do, a lot of it is based on like not live, but not scripted as much. Is that
Some of it,
correct?
yeah.
Have you done anything that's scripted before?
I have several scripts actually. One actually I think you answered to, believe it or not. I put up a casting call for it. It was Apartment Two, about
Oh,
a yeah, yes, yes, about a shut-in and his daughter. It's a psychological thriller. I'm very influenced by Alfred Hitchcock and directors like him. I like the whole idea that the anxiety should come from what you don't see as opposed to what you see, if that makes sense.
I
So
like
yeah,
it.
I have a handful of scripts there, and I did in film school. Um, this was probably my claim to fame. I was in an NLE course, and I discovered I really don't like Adobe, so I'll just leave that there.
You
But
really what?
what's that?
What did you say? You really don't?
I really don't like Adobe. I
Oh,
thought, yeah, because that was the NLE that was assigned to me. So the my professor said that he wanted us to create a how-to video for our editing assignment, right, for this editing project. And he threw out all of these topics like how to make egg salad, how to tune your bass. And I was honest with him. I said, listen, if I'm not excited about it, I'm not going to do a good job. So can I do this instead? And I offered him a topic. And he said, well, he said, you're a student, so I'm not entirely sure you could pull it off. Why don't you just do green bean casserole? And I'm like, look, man, let me give it a shot. And he gave me the okay on it. And I got an A on the project. And the project was how to become an effective serial killer. And what it is it's a very satire uh, tutorial, almost like those videos you would see in corporate America at your orientation day, where you follow around a character named Tyler, and Tyler is, in essence, a serial killer, saying that he's creating this tutorial because the art of serial killing has lost its pizzazz. So, yeah, so I sent it to him. And as a shout out to my NLE professor, I put in a line that said, though a lot of the stuff is generic, it's kind of like making a green bean casserole where, we all know the ingredients, but the pizzazz is up to you. So it worked out pretty well. So that was my first scripted project.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I remember something about apartment two. Basically, I submit to enough things that I forget what they are.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
tell me about apartment two.
So apartment two is, in a nutshell, it's about a shut-in and his daughter. Okay, his daughter's 17. She's getting ready to turn 18. He's a former EMS provider with severe PTSD, like myself. However, what his psychosis focuses on, religion. So he believes that the disappearance of his estranged wife, demons took his estranged wife away, and now demons are after his daughter. He has a rule. The rule in his house is you do not go outside. His daughter actually wears a chain around her ankle that's fastened to the floor of the apartment, so she can move around the circumference of the apartment, but she can't leave. So that's the entire show in a nutshell. So through
Wow.
the entire show, you're wondering, okay, is this guy really crazy, or is something really happening? So the linchpin is she develops a kind of a neat relationship with the grocery delivery person. The daughter does, and all they do is they look at each other through the window from the apartment. So he drops a cell phone into the grocery bag. So when she retrieves the groceries, which is in and of itself is a task, she gets the cell phone. So now she's talking to somebody in the outside world. So, and then when dad finds out about it, it kind of goes haywire from there.
He
So
doesn't like it, I
it's
bet.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be fun. It really is. I think it's gonna be great.
I'm always impressed with creators, filmmakers, and writers. I'm actually really impressed with you.
Oh,
I
thank you.
was going to ask you a questions about pictures. If you've seen the show, I got like a couple things I always do.
Mhm.
Here's one. What is this picture?
That is filming the final scenes of Paranormal X. So what you have there on the far right, okay, that's the far right closest to the right corner. That's Lisa. That's my partner. Then you have Steven and Elle. Steven's my scientist. Elle Devine is my psychic for the show. On the other side, you can see one of the guest investigators we had on the show. And what we're doing is we're going over the uh, the investigation, the video evidence we have to determine whether or not we see a haunting or something to that effect.
Excellent. I kind of moved the picture just so you know, people are only going to be able to see the center part.
That's fine.
Okay, what's this?
Okay, this is actually a some B-roll for another episode of Underground Uncovered, where we are filming. In this one, I'm actually filming a citizen journalist who's talking to someone who's calls himself an abortion abolitionist. So the group that I'm actually going to be filming with this one is a group called like Clinic Defenders. What they do is they try to enforce the FACE Act to allow access to Planned Parenthood clinics. So their sole purpose is to distract the pro-life and abortion abolitionist protesters, and they've been doing this since the 70s, I guess.
Wow.
So I'm still in very much pre-production on this episode.
Reproduction on reproduction.
Hmm.
That was horrible. I apologize.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
okay. This is from Paranormal X. This is one of the houses that we investigated in Lexington, Missouri. I just I just thought the doll head on the shelf was kind of creepy. I thought it'd make a good cover photo. So that's
That
what
is a
that's.
great picture, by the way. It looks like the
Thank you.
beginning of a scary movie.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. That is my favorite movie of all time, and I want to tell you why. I love Near Dark. I love Catherine. I think she's a great director. She had zero budget. This movie was up against The Lost Boys. What made this particularly unique is they didn't bring religious artifacts into it. Our vampires did not have fangs, and they didn't mention the word vampire in the entire film.
Wow.
But, yeah, plus the bar scene with Bill Paxton, most of that was ad-libbed because Bill comes on set with a migraine, and Catherine said, "I know what we could do," and had the medic give him a shot of B12, and that made him uber hyper. So that entire scene in the bar, about right around the beginning of Act Two, all of that was ad lib for Bill Paxton, all of his dialogue.
Well, I need
So,
to see this. I need to
oh,
see
it was
this.
great. It's a great sleeper film.
All right.
Yeah, that's our poster for Paranormal X.
And that's your friend that's a scientist and the lady
Yes,
that is the
yes, the scientist and the psychic.
psychic. I couldn't think of the word.
Yes.
Very cool. How many episodes have you had for Paranormal?
We had two. We're going to be doing a live episode in February, and we start filming again about middle of spring or so. We're going to try to get about 5 episodes done. Well, 5 additional episodes done, giving us a total of 7, so we can start marketing it at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. This is from NakaCon last year. Kaizen KC. You can't see Eric. Eric is the guy with the R on his chest. He's cosplaying a character from Team Rocket from Pokemon. This goes on the Underground Uncovered episode about the anime pop-up bar.
Wow.
So he was a lot of fun. I followed him around, I would say probably about a year and a half.
You
And
learned a
and
lot about Kansas City doing this, probably a lot more than a lot of people know, just doing these things.
right, right, absolutely. That's Underground Uncovered right there. That's the promo that our not the promo, I'm sorry, the promotional photo that our executive producers team came up with.
Oh,
This is from I started way back when I first started. I wanted to see what I could do. So these are two very dear friends of mine. The gentleman in the front, that's Ladario Glenn. He's an actor in Kansas City, and that's Red in the background there. I wrote a quick script called Papa about a man who goes to the crossroads to try to summon Papa Legba to be able to talk to his deceased child. So we filmed that real quick, and I made a quick, I guess, proof of concept, I guess, when I didn't really know what I was doing back then. But it was a lot of fun, and we are revisiting this one as well. We're going to be we revised the script, and those two are still on board, and we're going to be filming that one hopefully fall of 2026 is what we're looking at for that.
Very cool. Well, I had that one in there twice. Okay, excellent. I'm
Well, it's
very
so good, it's got
confident.
to be seen. Yeah,
No,
it's
I
so
was in a
good.
hurry this morning because we had to kind of
Yeah,
reschedule, so I
right on.
got that one in twice. Um, so you've been to film school. Do you work with actors that have had specific training, or like what do you look for when you're going to be casting something?
Bottom line, the very first thing I'm going to look for is chemistry, right? Is this person going to get along with everybody, and are they essentially going to get along with me? You know, those two things. And I'm pretty easy to get along with, right? But I want to make sure that I want to make sure that there's some harmony on set above and beyond everything else. Secondary, I look at talent. You know what? Not necessarily like talent, like you can convince me you're any character I want you to be. Not necessarily that. I'm talking about the talent that if improvisation is necessary, that you can pull it off, that you can maintain that character. There's an actor who's a dear friend of mine who I used for my uh, serial killer short for film school. He's absolutely amazing. I've seen him pull off so many amazing feats, but my favorite was he had to play essentially an abusive father, and in between his rehearsals, he would stop and he would go back to just being Jonathan, looking at the actress in front of him, saying, "Are you okay? Is everything good? You know, I know I'm kind of getting kind of strong," and then just snap right back into that character. I loved the fact that he kept that balance. You know, he would go into the acting and then come back to reality and make sure that everyone, was there. That's what I look for. I'm not as concerned with resumes right now because I'm going to face facts, man. I'm not Spielberg, right? So I'm not as concerned about resumes. I'm concerned with things like emotional intelligence with my actors. Are you going to get along well? Are you going to be afraid to look at me and say, "Hey, I don't like this, how this goes. Can we talk about doing it this way?" Because I am 100% for that. And I think a lot of directors and script writers are so obsessed with their sorry about that. I think so many directors and script writers are so obsessed with their work they don't want to take suggestions, and I think suggestions is what makes the world go round. Some of the best stories you hear from any films you see are when the actor just blurted something out and it was total improv and everybody loved it. Like you take the Karate Kid and I can't remember the character's name, but when that Cobra Kai shouted out, "Get him a body bag," right? Now it's one of the most famous lines from Karate Kid from Cobra Kai, right? Wasn't scripted. This guy just threw it out there just for the sake of throwing it out. So
Yeah, I
that's
think
what I
in the
look.
moment, sometimes things feel more natural.
Uh-huh.
That they what's the other one? Oh my goodness, my brain. He's from Uvalde, but he
It's
says, "All
okay.
right, all right, all right." Like that
Yes,
was just him. That wasn't in the script.
absolutely.
And I have my brain is gone. I cannot remember his name, but I like what you said though about people getting along. I think it's really important. The other thing that's really funny is I've this is my 57th, I believe, episode.
Oh, okay.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and it's so different how everybody approaches everything. And I'm just going to give one example. I had someone on the show recently who said, "When I show up, I am the character. The director doesn't want to talk to me about how I'm going to play the character when the director can talk directly to the character themselves." And I really thought about it. It's like, I get it. I get what the guy's doing. I like it, but I'm more like the guy you described. I can snap in and out
Right.
of character a little bit, but I get what the guy's saying, and I think he's probably a great actor,
Hmm.
but it's just uh, a different way of thinking
Oh,
is,
absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
like it. So that I'm kind of like you. I'm like very flexible, very
Mhm.
much like let's do something together, do it as good as possible. And if somebody has an idea, I like it. Um, and I'm not, of course, I'm not writing and directing, but I appreciate it whenever people, if you know your lines well enough, if you know your character well enough, you can respond to get him a body bag a lot better than
Yes, you
if you
can.
barely know what you're doing. You have to know it.
Absolutely. And above and beyond, um, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Because if you think about the fact that we are making films, it doesn't matter if it's short films or features or whatever, TV shows, we are throwing out stories. We're telling stories. How cool is that? I mean, whether you're big budget or zero budget, you are throwing out stories to the world that no one's ever seen before. And when you get lucky enough to do that, and you get lucky enough to have that flexible team, you do something magical. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And like, what do you consider yourself? I know filmmaker is kind of a wraparound term, but like, I don't know if you've directed other people's stuff or you've written stuff that other people have directed. Like, where would you say if they said, you're only going to do one thing, what's it going to be?
If I'm only going to do one thing, I want that one's hard. That one's hard, man. Um, if I can only do one thing, and no cheating by calling myself a writer director, right? Just director or writer. Um, I would probably be a writer because I'm a storyteller. I absolutely love telling stories. Now, right next to that, mind you, is director because I'm still telling stories. And no, I haven't done anyone else's work yet. I will not lie to you, I'm intimidated by that because that's somebody else's story and I know how important that is. But I would love to do it if I ever got a chance.
Hey, every once in a while in the group, people say, I've written something, I'm looking for someone to direct it. I've seen that several times. I
Yeah,
say the group, the Actors and Filmmakers Kansas City Facebook page, which
sure.
has approaching 20,000 members. I've seen that kind of post before.
Well, yeah, I see them too, and then imposter syndrome hits, and I'm like, yeah, maybe.
I mean, you've been to
But
film school, you've done a bunch of stuff. I mean, I would
right.
think, and especially if it's a short film, what a great way to practice.
Oh no, I agree. I agree.
I
And I
love
think
to give other people advice, it looks like. So this is great.
no, you're fine. Maybe, hey, maybe next time I see one of those posts, I'll be like, hey, I'll throw my hat in. I mean,
I'll put your name under the post next time.
that would be
People
great.
do that
Thank
to me
you.
all the time. A lot of times on stuff I'm not even interested in. But so I'll do it to you. What have you learned as a writer, director, filmmaker? What do you think you've learned that's been the most valuable? I'll word it that way.
Not to take things so seriously. That's what I've learned above and beyond. Not to take things so seriously because when you're doing things like that, you're dealing with all sorts of different types of personalities, backgrounds, um, things of that nature. Everybody has their own sub story, their own past, their own experience. And if I tend to take myself in particular too seriously, right, I miss out on everything else that I have in front of me. So that's what I've learned, not to take everything so seriously. Tell the story, let it be organic, and go from there. Be serious when you have to be.
You talked earlier about trying to choose people that get along, and then
Hmm.
you talked about not taking serious. Did you have an experience with someone who took things too serious and was hard to get along with on set? You don't have to say their
Oh
name, of
yeah,
course.
oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, see, I can't speak for a lot of directors and filmmakers in Kansas City. I simply haven't worked with a lot of them, right? But what I do know is, again, I said it earlier, I'm not Spielberg. I understand that. But ego, I think, is the killer of creativity. And I did have to deal with egos and conflict and things of that nature. And my background in emergency medical services helped me navigate that pretty much. I don't want to say easily because it's never an easy thing to do whenever you have to deal with conflict resolution, especially if it's habitual conflicts, right? So that's when I made that decision. I'm like, man, you're really good as to what you're doing, but you're driving everybody absolutely crazy, uh, Mr. Actor who can't get along with everybody. That's something I don't want on my set in the future. And And that's the reality. So again, chemistry and cohesiveness is always first. Talent is secondary, but very, very close to the first one.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. How do you spend your spare time for fun? Like, what do you do for fun when you're away from filmmaking and whatever you do to make your money? Otherwise, what do you do?
See, that's really not a hard question. It's just a lot of answers. Like again, I fall back on my photography. I'll go out and see, just go out and see something I haven't seen. I call it pixel therapy, is what I call it. I hang out with friends. I'm a huge gamer. I love video games. I love board games. I love card games, any type of gaming. We do that. Just quick plug to Cardboard Cafe. That place is awesome. If anyone has a chance to go check it out, it's a board game type cafe. It's very cool. And of course, no self-respecting filmmaker would tell you he's not spending his time watching movies because I do. I like to watch movies from like if I see someone on Facebook say, "Hey, I just got a movie on Tubi," I'll go find the movie on Tubi and I'll watch it just because again, it's cool that they put it out there, right? And yeah, that's how I spend my time. And then spend my time with my family. I have children. I hang out with them. I hang out with the wife, reconnect with friends. That's what I do.
Well, just in case you didn't know, Wholesome Grove, best day of your
Uh-huh.
life are on Tubi. So there you go. So
Oh, right on. Okay. Well, I will look those up and watch them. Definitely.
um, let's see. We talked about your best advice. What advice would you give to a young filmmaker, someone who's just starting out, they haven't done it yet, but they're like, I want to be a filmmaker. What should they do first?
Um, well, I think they already did it, to be honest. They said, I want to be a filmmaker. First thing I would tell them is, well, right off the bat, you're a filmmaker. Okay, step right into it. I would always encourage film school just because of the education. Prior to going to film school, I was on the same boat with everyone else. Yeah, you don't have to go to film school to be a filmmaker, and you're right, you don't. You don't. You can YouTube it, find a mentor. But as I mentioned earlier, film school showed me everything I was doing right, but more importantly, everything I didn't know and things I was making too hard. So I would emphasize education, and I'm a huge supporter of mentorship. I would definitely tell them find yourself a mentor. Even if that mentor doesn't realize they're your mentor, just find somebody and learn from them. Um, when I first got into the game, mine was a filmmaker by the name of Mark Manley, and I will plug him because he didn't even realize he was my mentor. He had no idea. And what's interesting is we've never met face to face. I just followed him on social media and saw what he was doing. And he was very challenging to me as well. So I would tell them to mentorship, but above and beyond everything else, I would tell them never lose that creativity. Always keep that world alive, whichever and by any means possible. And don't take yourself so seriously. It'll be more fun. That would be
Uh,
my advice.
Excellent. One thing that is a little off topic, I try to ask everybody, even though I've missed a couple times. Are you from Kansas City, first off?
Yes.
Have you lived here all your life, pretty much in the area?
No, I've moved around. I lived in Chicago, Manhattan, Kansas, lived in Germany for a while, stuff like that.
Wow. How long have you lived in Kansas City?
This round about 20 years.
Okay. All right. So you've been to a lot of restaurants in town.
Yes.
All right. Somebody that you met along the way is going to come and they're going to hang out with you. They say, Hey, I don't have a lot of time. We just have time to go to one restaurant. I'll go anywhere in the Kansas City metro. I don't care if it's Kansas, Missouri, by the airport,
Hmm.
Grandview, wherever. Where are you going to take them for barbecue?
For barbecue,
Yeah, that's where they want to go. They want to try Kansas City barbecue. Where are you taking?
what's it called? Smokestack, I think is what it's called on
Smokestack.
Shawnee Mission Parkway. It's over by Shawnee Mission Kia. I've sadly I've only eaten there once, but man, they blew me away. They are best burn-ins I've had in Kansas City.
Oh, so burn ends is what you would order. What else would you order?
Oh yeah. I'm a burn-in person. I like burn-ins, brisket. Their turkey, maybe, depending. But yeah, that's pretty much my go-to is burn-ins.
I always order burn ends too. Sometimes they're too fatty, but these were not fatty.
Times. No, not at all. Not at all.
Some
They
people
had a
like
great
it.
bark. Yeah, they had a great bark. The smoke was right there. They were delicious. Like I said, probably the best burn-ins I've had in this town.
Wow. All right. I gotta. I'm actually going to circle it. I'm going to try to go there someday.
You
Um,
should.
where can we see your work?
Right now, YouTube. I don't have a lot up, but what I do have up so far, it's weird. I use YouTube kind of like as a secondary storage space, right? So I have a lot of videos up, but I don't have a lot that are public. So right now, I believe the first episode of Underground Uncovered is public. A couple of the Paranormal X's are public, and How to Become an Effective Serial Killer is public. Those three right now. Um, but I have other things that aren't just yet because they're still works in progress, things of that nature. But YouTube's the best place to go right now until I get
Do
everything
you
done.
enter things in contests,
I
film
entered
festivals?
I entered one. I entered the How to Become an Effective Serial Killer to a couple film festivals. And I both festivals were late entries for me. I really wasn't expecting for it to get in and it didn't get in, but it was exciting because that was another fear wall that I climbed over, shipping out there for their short film competitions. But yeah, it's as I get better at what I do, I will be submitting. I have absolutely no problem at all with hearing, yeah, not this year, Michael, but
Well, I read a lot about film festivals because I talked to people before who had never submitted, and
uh-huh.
they just like almost like assumed when you submit it, you get in. And
Mm-mm.
it's like at the time when I was reading this years ago, it was about a 1 in 13 chance
Right.
of getting in, like a film festival we were looking at. But I think overall it's like a 1 in 8 chance, but I could be wrong, but it's not, I mean, it's
No,
not
it's not a guarantee.
100%.
No, and that's what I do like about groups like Film Freeway and Film Hub and stuff like that. When especially Film Freeway, when it's talking about entries into film festivals, it's very clear that you may very well not be selected, and and that's fine because again, you look at artists like we'll take Stephen King for example. What did he have? 80 rejections before somebody finally said, "Okay, let's talk about Carrie." You look at Stallone, same thing. I mean, he had to sell his dog in order to make Rocky, and then made Rocky, and when got his dog back, you have all rejection is part of the game.
Well, so we can see your work on YouTube. Is there anywhere else or just on YouTube right now?
Just on YouTube right now.
Okay.
Remember, I'm still growing and learning. So the Paranormal X episodes that are up there were pre-film school. The Effective Serial Killer that was while I was in film school, and I have other things I'm working on that I'll be making public, hopefully within the next few weeks that are after film school. So the quality you can definitely see the difference, but the storytelling pretty much remains the same. So
So,
if go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to ask you what do you consider your type of filmmaking and what draws you to these topics?
I like okay, so if we're talking about fictional stories again, I like psychological thrillers because I think that we rely too much on gore and special effects these days. Not to say that gore isn't fun. Gore is very fun, in context, but psychological thrillers as far as that very Hitchcocky type films, you're afraid of what you're not seeing as opposed to what you're seeing. But when it comes to my nonfiction stuff, like my documentary series, I'm drawn to tell stories that people generally don't tell, get to the bottom of it. Like if you look at a people group or a profession, or if the public looks at a people group or a profession and they're looking down on it, then I want to humanize that people group, right? I want to tell the story of that people group. Because nothing says I don't know anything about you than saying I don't like you, you know? I mean, and I'm not saying that once you get to know that you'll like, but you'll appreciate the humanity by the time I'm done telling the story of whatever community I'm looking at.
I really like that because like just about anything, like you
Hmm.
can listen to someone else's side
Right.
and at least understand 10% or whatever imaginary number. Even if you don't agree with
Right.
them, you can get where they're coming from. Oh, they're afraid of blank, or they haven't ever been around blank, like whatever. I'm thinking very specific, but I'm trying to be sly.
Hmm.
But, but I think it's a lot of times fear of the unknown. And
Right.
if you live out where there's not a lot of blank people, then it's really hard when you encounter folks that are different than what you've ever been around to
Right.
not be afraid. Even like from my perspective, it's like non-issue stuff, but to like certain groups, it's like a really big thing because they've just never seen it. They've never been around it. And things that,
Absolutely.
I guess I'm tipping my hat, things that in the city are like no big deal,
Hmm.
whatever the topic is you're thinking of, somewhere else might be like a bigger deal and newer to
Hmm.
folks. But like
Absolutely.
if you think about it from their perspective, it kind of makes sense, even if you don't agree with them, it kind of makes
Mhm.
sense from their perspective. But
Right on. No, and I agree 100%, which is definitely why I wanted to produce the show because these communities, whether again the adult content creator, the shibari artist, I have a two-part called The Kings of Kansas City, which is about drag kings. These communities are amazing, and these people are absolutely amazing. So, and they have a lot to say, a lot to contribute.
yeah, and those are the all the types of groups I'm thinking of
Yes, yes.
that are like bigger deal to some than others. What have you done that you're most proud of?
Underground Uncovered. I'm very proud of that.
Is
Very
there
proud of that.
a specific episode?
House of Teddy, well, that's hard. House of Teddy is the first one that comes to mind. That's the one about the adult content creators. Um, I really like the Shibari episode because that one just came together. It just came together. It
Tell me
was
about
beautiful.
both of those and why it is that those stand out to you.
Well, House of Teddy is my first one. That's the one that got Eric, my executive producer. That's what got him interested was that episode. Um, we got to follow around a an adult content creator that created a content house for other adult creators to have a safe place to make their content. And then she retires, and then we caught back up with her about 6 months into her retirement to learn why she retired and things of that nature and how she views uh, her previous work and advice to other people in the work, that type of thing. The Shibari episode just came together so beautifully. The person we initially looked at fell through. And and hindsight, I don't think he would have been a good fit. The man the Shibari artist that we wound up going with, was very, very down to earth. It's like somebody you would meet like at a quick trip, that you strike up a conversation with at a gas station, just an average Joe. And he was very gentle and informative, and he was just all around great.
Spell that
And
word
then
for me again. The Sabar, what are you saying?
Shibari, it's rope work. It's like yeah, you see it. It's Japanese rope work, but in the BDSM community, it's
Okay.
part of a kink subculture is the tying
Okay.
knots.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, I know nothing.
and
Okay, keep going.
and in that series, I would say the last one is part one of the Kings of Kansas City, um, because the again drag queens get a lot of press, they get a lot of attention, but Kansas City has an amazing drag king uh, community, and it's really cool watching these artists and the things that they can pull off, and their entertainment is just phenomenal. So
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you are definitely going into areas that a lot of people don't know a lot about. How do
right.
you actually make contacts and learn? Because those are very different communities. Like, how do you make contact?
um I rely on networking a lot. Sometimes how do I make contact with my subjects, right? That's the
Yeah,
question.
all of it. How do you find them and how do you make contact with them not thinking you're a scammer?
I rely 100% on networking, 100%. And then I let them know what I'm wanting to do. I tell them once I meet the subjects, and I rely on casting calls as well. I throw those out for them. Um, and then when I meet the subjects, I tell them about me. I'm very open and transparent about who I am, what I'm wanting to get done, things of that nature. Um, and then I use a system and training called "What's in it for me." I tell them what's in it for you. You get to tell your story. You get to be 100% transparent as to why you do what you do and why it's important and how the naysayers affect you. And what you would like to teach people who don't know about your community or even have a prejudice against your community. That's how I present it. and it works very well. I haven't had a no yet,
That's
as
awesome.
people do like to tell their story.
Yeah. What do you think motivates you to do this?
I spent 15 years of my life seeing the absolute worst in humanity. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I've seen people do some horrendous things to one another, and it's weird because when I first got into EMS, it was all car accidents, heart attacks, stuff like that, stuff that you would think that EMS would handle. And as the years went on, people just got worse and worse to one another. And the reason why like I mentioned, when I was going through my treatment for PTS, picking up the camera to see the beauty in the world again. When I look at Underground Uncovered, it's the same thing. It's the beauty in humanity. It's the just how different we all are and how those differences impact us. And if we would drop our own prejudices, you know, we could see how those differences can edify our lives as opposed to saying, "Hey, I'm against everything you're doing, so you're an enemy." We don't want that. More like, "Hey, how are you able to do that? How can you hang from ropes like that and not be hurt? How does that work?" Curiosity is the love language of knowledge. And if we're curious about one another, we can't be prejudiced against one another. So that's a big way that it motivates me. It's almost like a form of therapy for that. Now, my other projects and my fiction projects, it's just because I want to tell my stories and have fun. That's what motivates me. I'm 51 years old. I probably got maybe, knock on wood, 20 to 30 years left on this planet. Do I want to spend those 20 to 30 years left on this planet constantly stressed out about work and relationship problems, or do I want to be creative and tell my stories and do what I want to do? I choose B. You know, those are the things that motivate me.
That was an absolutely beautiful answer, by the way.
Thank you.
That was just a beautiful answer. Like sometimes I'm on the show, people say things and I think I like them more than I did, and I don't know them, but now I like them a little bit, and like that answer kind of makes me like you. Like I really
Thank you.
like the way you think. I like the way your mind works. I appreciate it. Um, is there anything hard about what you're doing? Like any struggles along the way?
Um, two things that I struggle with, and um, being transparent here. Editing. I hate editing. I don't think any of us like editing. I think that's why we hire editors, which I haven't done yet, but I need to. The other thing is fundraising because I have a difficult time knowing. I shouldn't say I have a difficult time. I don't now. I know how to do it now, but it took film school to teach me how to properly fundraise, right? Because I think it's all great that we can do things for free with one another, but I also think that people should be paid for their time and talent. I really do. Whatever the case may be, whether it's a hard fee or it's a negotiated rate, whether it's contingency based or whatever, I think people should be paid for their work 100%. Now, I'm not downing. I think if you want to do free projects, do it. I do free projects too. I think that's important for networking and to build trust with one another. But at the end of the day, payment's important, but fundraising has always been a struggle. And I think it's a struggle for most people. But yeah, those are the two hard parts.
Yeah. Um, what do you think, besides being the hardest part, like, geez, my brain, I had a question and then I started listening to you instead of thinking of my question. Okay, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? You talked about you have another 20 or 30 years. 10 years,
Mhm.
what will you have accomplished?
I will have a handful of films that hopefully people will like and watch. I'll have at least two series, whether it be on streaming services or on the web, that hopefully people will watch. And I would have built a reputation of somebody who was creative, fun, easy to work with, and I would be one of the first names dropped when people would say, "Hey, who's someone that's going to have a good time on set, or who's somebody that can do some quality work, or both? Who's someone who can do some quality work and have fun?" And someone's first response would be, "Oh yeah, Mikheal Sublett, go check him out." That's where I want to be in 10 years.
Hey, when did you leave EMT work?
Uh, about 10 years ago.
And now the most obvious, Mr. Obvious question. Have you thought about following around EMTs?
I have, um, I have the problem, but here's the thing, it's like any other form of service, whether it be first responders, military, whatever. You can take the boy out of the situation, but you can't take the situation out of the boy,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
So if I was on a film crew following around the EMTs, I'm back in the game, right? I'm wanting to work. It's never a good idea,
Yeah.
to put me back in that ambulance because yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing, right? It wouldn't be a bad thing because I loved what I did and I was good at it. But yeah, no, I've thought about it because we haven't had a good 911 docu-series in a very long time. I think the Learning Channel's Paramedics, I think that got canceled like 15 years ago, 10 or 15 years ago. But yeah, I have thought about it. And I think I've toyed with the idea of doing just a straight documentary feature about post-traumatic stress and the stigma that surrounds it and how it affects first responders and military personnel and why it's so
Mhm.
difficult for those of us who wear either uniform to go to our superiors saying, "Hey, I have this, something's going on," because it's very career ending. It's very career ending. So I thought I've been toying with the idea. I have a veteran friend of mine. He and I have been kicking around that idea for the past 6 months, and I think we'll probably wind up doing it, to be honest. And that would involve EMS personnel as well.
Yeah, I was thinking if you did it, and this was me knowing nothing, but you'd have to block out faces of people,
Yes.
which makes it different, or you'd have to film
Yes.
it at angles because it's really about the EMTs, not about
Right.
the people they're treating, I would think. But
No, no, no. I wouldn't want to film. I wouldn't want to put patients' faces in anyway because they're having a pretty bad day. So I couldn't imagine.
yeah. Um, what do you think? You talked about what motivates you, but what makes you stand out? Is there, I mean, like, is there anyone else doing the docuseries like you're doing that you're aware of? Like, what makes you
No.
stand out?
Nobody's doing it. Um, Not that I've seen. Uh, the way that I tell the stories makes me stand out. The way that I conduct myself on set or when I'm talking to my subjects makes me stand out because I'm very personable and very human, you know, um, and just the way that I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. I can make it work. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm going to figure out how to make it work, whether it be a shot or whether it be an interview or anything like that. I will make it work. So that I would say that's something else. But overall, I think it's my overall demeanor and how personal I am and how I conduct myself and how I make all of my subjects and all of my actors comfortable.
Yeah, you seem very empathic. I could picture you interviewing people on things that maybe I don't know. Sometimes people that are really judged harshly, whenever
Mhm.
they're not judged, can really open up and realize this is a safe place. And I feel like you could
Right.
probably make that happen, uh,
Absolutely.
give you an advantage. Um, in the Kansas City film community, what's been your involvement? Not just with like I'm not talking about like a scientist, um, or someone like that that's not really involved, but like what's been your involvement? How have you bumped into the Kansas City film community itself?
I have a good friend that actually, I think she did an internship with you, or at least on one of your film sets, or a set that you were on. We were talking about my involvement with the film community, and honestly, I don't have a lot. My involvement is from afar, but that's going to change this season. I want to start going to the what is it every second Wednesday night
I think it's
of the
third,
month,
but I could be wrong.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely need to go into the film community and start making friends and networking and things of that nature. I haven't done that just yet, so my involvement's pretty minimal. But
We have had crew though.
Yes, but not from the Kansas City film community. It's people that I've known.
Oh, okay. So you're like making films like, here's my buddy that I get along with. I'll tell him, push the button, like that kind of stuff.
Well, sometimes I have my friend Red that you saw the picture of him with him and Ladario rather in the background. He's an amazing electrician, and well, he's just an amazing anything technical, right? So anytime I need a gaffer, he's the guy I call because he can put
Gotcha.
together everything super quickly and make everything work. And the way he positions everything is just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, overall, yeah, this is my buddy Jonathan. Hit this button, make sure that doesn't go fuzzy, and you're good to go.
Yeah, there's there is a like I'll just do like different approaches. Like this is my mind approaches.
Yeah.
Um, this person works with the same four people over and over and over every project, the same four people, the same person films it, the same four actors, and then occasionally involves a couple others. And then there's others who every project open it up for auditions, but a lot
Mhm.
of times choose the same people, but not
Right.
always. If somebody else has a better audition, they would grab them. Um,
Mhm.
but they all do it different, and I think you're going to have some overlap because if you get this is totally me talking like it's a fact, but if you get new actors,
Mhm.
I don't think they realize the time commitments and such,
Mhm.
and so um, you have a few of those kind of let you down. Then you're like, oh, but this guy shows up on time, is prepared,
Mhm.
does his best, or whatever. You see people and you're like, I want that guy. And so you
Right.
end up getting the same people a lot of times just because you like their performance or you get along with
Mhm.
them or whatever. Um, but I mean, that's totally my opinion. But I
No,
know
no.
like some
No, you're
people
right
like,
because that what that says is reliability, work ethic. We have a small community in comparison to other cities, right? With
yeah,
our film community, so I think it's going with the same people over and over again is huge safety because they've already proven their work ethic. But sometimes that can hinder the new guy, right, or the new girl that's coming up that wants to break in. Um, I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll do when I officially join the film community. I'll make it at least for my projects a bit more balanced. Have the real experienced people and then have the new people. You know,
yeah,
maybe
you
go.
can. It's there's like little groups that I'm kind of like a part of, it feels like. But I
Hmm.
also like one thing I talk to people and they're like, I work with the same two or three directors only. And I'm like, I work with 10 different directors a year. I mean, it's like
Nice.
everybody does it different.
Nice.
Everybody does it different, but yeah. Um, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't spoken about yet?
What's been your favorite project that you've worked on so far?
My favorite project was probably The Best Day of Your Life. I'm in
Mhm.
this one right here. I'm only in the last half, other than you can hear my voice in the first
Yeah.
half. The last half, I'm one of the main characters, or I am the main character the last half. And I really liked it because it was my first big role. And I didn't even apply for a big role. I applied for a
Oh, wow.
smaller role. And they thought I would be able to pull off a bigger role. And they originally were going to make the guy like kind of little and wimpy and stuff. And then they saw me and they said, we're going to make it where you're more intimidating kind of thing. The same lines done, everything done the same way, but just because of my size would be more intimidating.
Oh, right on.
And yeah, and they let me, like, one of it said, like, we're going to have snippets of your sermon. And I told him, I said, I have a sermon if you let me do the whole thing. I have two. And
Wow.
so he let me do two sermons
Oh,
and
wow.
he chose one of them and put the entire thing in there.
Oh, wow.
I talked about
Nice.
a starfish. The whole thing is a sermon that I made up. And so it was like really fun because I had a bigger role and I got to make up stuff and be creative. So, oh well, it was fun. Looking back on it, I would have done things different. I mean, that was in 2019.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like I have a lot more experience and training since then, but it was still fun at the time. So thanks for
And
asking.
I think that's the thing, right? I look back on those episodes that I told you about that are public, And I'm looking at him just in some cases I'm like, okay, I would have done that different. I would have edited this different. And sometimes I'll be horrified, like, why did I make that decision? You know, because it's all about, experience again. And yeah, I have that same thing that I look back. Yeah, I would have done that differently, but that's the best part because we get to gauge our experience and how we're doing. But no, just on a more personal note, I've heard good things about you. I truly
Oh,
have. So I
thank
was
you.
excited when I put two and two together and realized because a friend of mine popped up and said, "Hey, are you going to be on this podcast?" I said, "Yeah," and she goes, "I know him. He's a good guy. You'll love him." That's
That's
exactly what she
good.
said.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Who
But
is it? If I can ask who it is?
Helen Graham, she's a film
Oh,
student right
yeah.
now with Full Sail.
She's a
Yeah,
very nice
yeah.
lady.
Yes,
Very
yes.
nice lady.
I adore Helen. It's Helen bounces projects off of me and I tell her, I give her my opinion, but on the same token, I'm thinking in my head, like, dude, you are so surpassing me in everything you're doing. It's so exciting, I'm super proud of her.
I mean, she's an acquaintance of mine, but I recognized her when I saw her on TV
Yeah.
and like giving food to people,
Mhm.
like she has a laundromat and bringing in
Yes.
food at Thanksgiving. Like
Yes.
if someone's in a laundromat on Thanksgiving, I think bringing a meal is like, that's just one of the kindest things. Helen, just like, what a kind person to do
Yes.
that.
She
What a
is
great
amazing.
person.
She is amazing. Out of my entire friend group, I can tell you, I'm grateful for every person I have in my life, but I'm very grateful for Helen. I think Helen, and we're accidental friends. We are, and what I mean by that is we just kind of ran into each other on the same scene when I was film or the same set when I was filming for Underground Uncovered, and we just sort of developed after that. But I think she's pretty phenomenal. I really
Yeah,
do.
it's
But I'm
great.
looking forward to meeting everyone else in the community too, or as many people as I can when I finally decide, okay, you can let go of the imposter syndrome, Michael, just walk right into these meetings and
Well, I'll tell you what, like the meetings, sometimes they are like where there's a lot of sitting down, there's like some
uh,
interactions.
yeah,
Um, but like I think if you do your first project,
yeah,
you will, and you put stuff out, you bring in people from the community and you meet five or six people, then do another project and you have two or three of them come back and you meet another three to five people. Like basically, then you end up having experiences with and
yes,
knowing more and more people just builds.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that because again, this is as cliche as this is going to sound. This is my dream. I'm living my dream, telling my stories, and that's what I love. And I just want to keep doing that,
Yeah.
And I want to
I,
help other people do their dreams too. Yeah,
I like it. I think Hollywood is far away from me and far away from you, but it doesn't mean that you can't create and have fun with it and maybe get people to watch it and everything. It's the same thing. And you might have an opportunity where you're able to have more people watch your things as
absolutely.
time goes on.
Absolutely. I get excited, man. I mean, I'll put something up and it'll get like 200 views, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
200
that's
people at
great.
least saw the first 5 seconds of
That's
it.
right. That's great. All right. Well,
Yeah.
hey, thank you so much. Do you have any words of wisdom before we part here?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I will say when I was a boy, there was a friend of my father's that said this to me when I was stressed out. He said to me, he goes, don't sweat the small stuff. He goes, that's the first part. And I said, what's the second? He goes, everything is the small stuff. Words of wisdom for me is go out and do it. If you want to be a filmmaker, congratulations, you're a filmmaker. Go out and do it. Go enjoy. Figure it out along the way. Take your classes, watch your YouTubes, get your mentors, go to film school, whether it be Johnson County Community College, Full Sail, or Wilmington, which is where I went, New York Film Academy. It doesn't matter. Go out and live your dreams because we only get one cycle around here, as far as I know, unless I found out different through my Paranormal X episodes.
Then, of course, there's multiple cycles. Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course. But yeah, that would be my word of wisdom. Go out and do it, man. Feel that fear and do it anyway, because we all feel it. We all feel that fear, you know? So yeah, that's my word of wisdom.
I like it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on. I've really enjoyed talking with
Well,
you.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. All right.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, my friend. Bye bye.